Hey, what's going on, guys? Sorry for the delay. I'm trying to do this on the Ethernet, and I was having a bit of a trouble with that cord trying to get it in there. And I think I might have to send this laptop back so they can fix I don't know, the protective layers kind of cracked. So I'm going to have to probably send this back, like I said. So yeah. Anyways, I'm going to be doing a physical media vlog. I'm actually doing it from downstairs because this is where the internet stuff is at. I don't have that up in my room. This is all down here. So let's go ahead and start with my collection of movies that I got. I got 35 movies total, I'd say, and I'm going to be starting with the ones that sadly I seemed like the discs were loose, and I think that's like at least. Sorry, nose is itching. Seems like there's going to at least be 4 of those. Actually, no, 3, but there could be more for all I know. But anywho, a majority of those movies that I bought, 28 of those came from Kino Lorber. They had like a March Madness sale. It just ended this past Monday. It's a combination of 19 Blu-rays and I believe 9 4Ks I got from them. I did get a couple of 4Ks elsewhere. Those came from eBay. So, anywho, I'm going to start with the ones that have the loose disc. So let's get on with those. So, about a 4K for it's a Vinegar Syndrome 4K of the 1995 film Virtuous City, and this looks like it has a pretty good amount of extras on there. You have a commentary track with the director, and you have a brand new commentary track with the writer and film historian Walter Shaw. Was it Shaw? Yeah. And then I do not know if Denzel Washington is interviewed. If there is, it's probably from the archive interviews back in the day. So yeah, this does have a good amount of extras, but sadly the disc is loose. I'm going to check and make sure that it's not loose. Just bear with me here. Hopefully this is not too bad. I got 20% off these on eBay. The Vinegar Syndrome ones I bought directly from eBay. I think Vinegar Syndrome was having a sale, but I don't think it was quite as cheap as this. So, okay, which one was this one? This is the Blu-ray. I guess nothing is scratched up, so that's the good news. Luckily, the 4K is in there, but I think the extras are on the Blu-ray. So, yeah, looks like you got a good amount of documentaries on this. So, this thing's loaded. I don't think it has deleted scenes, but oh well, can't have everything. But I remember not minding this flick when it came out. I didn't see this in theaters, of course, but Denzel Washington's a solid actor, in this movie, and you know how he is, acting wise. He always brings it. He always delivers. So you got to give Denzel some credit. And also, I believe this is probably. I know he did a few films before this, but I believe this is what got Russell Crowe noticed as well. I can't believe I forgot about that. And so you also have a few other actors like Kelly Lynch, William Forsythe. And I mentioned before Kevin J. O'Connor is in this movie as well too. So next up here is Congo. Oddly enough, this is from 1995 as well. So it's right there. Hopefully nothing is broken on this one, or scratched up, I should say. Jeez. Hard to get the rack off. Okay. Oh. Okay, I don't think there's any scratches, thankfully. Yeah, this one has 4K of Congo, DTS 5.1, 2-point stereo. Has making of stuff. I don't know if any of the actors are interviewed, but it probably has like the archive featurette from back in the day, so that's also on here as well. So luckily nothing scratched up, at least not what I can tell. So, and I've seen Congo before. I think it's a solid film too as well. You know, good score by Jerry Goldsmith as well. I just put it in there. Okay. And this is one of the Kino Lorber Blu-rays I bought, and that's Cherry 2000. You know, it has Melanie Griffin in there, Tim Thomerson from Trancers. Yeah, and oh yeah, Robert Dazar is also in there as well too. So I'm gonna make sure this one is not messed up. Hey Daniel. Looks like everyone's. Don't know if anyone's gonna show up, but yeah. Time to unwrap this one. Jeez. Okay. Heathers. Oh, sorry. I'll just pull the next movie I was going to show you. Okay. Okay, is that... Okay. All right, doesn't look like anything scratched on here. That's good. Okay. Is it holding it? For now, it is. All right. I never actually seen this movie. It's not a true, 4K UHD, but it is a 4K scan of this movie. You got an audio commentary by the director, film historians, an oral history of making of Cherry 2000, and you have a pretty good amount of features. I believe that's on the Blu-ray, or the second Blu-ray disc. So, yeah, there's quite a bit, I believe, on this. But I wonder if this movie's any good because I've never really seen it. But looks like it'll be a good time waster. It's got Melanie Griffin in there for crying out loud. So this was before she did Working Girl, which was a huge success at the box office. So yeah. Make sure that nothing was scheduled. So sorry, bear with me. I'm looking at Instagram. Huh. Matt Thomas mentioned something about Death Wish. Well, I'm going to be showing some films. I think you know what they will be, so just bear with me. Yeah. Some apologies for looking a little disorganized. It was a hell of a time trying to get this Ethernet cord plugged in. But yeah, hopefully this is the end of, the disc being loose. I really don't like it when that happens. I'm pretty sure that not everyone likes it when their discs are kind of loose in the case and it's brand new. So otherwise I was going to let them know that, hey, you probably should send me another copy just in case. You never know. Next up, one of the other Vinegar Syndromes that I bought, the 4K, that's The Possession of Joe Delaney. I believe, from what I understood, this is like the uncut version of the film. I remember seeing this. It was definitely, before The Exorcist. And, you have Shirley MacLaine, Perry King, who is the character in this movie. And early 70s, it came out in 1972. So I figured, I remember taping this back in the day, and oddly enough, I never got the DVD. I don't think I ever got the Blu-ray. And I think this is for understood. This is the best that it's going to look, and in its uncut form. So yeah. From what I understood, both gave good performances in the movie, both Shirley MacLaine and Perry King. I'm pretty sure. Yep. Yeah, I'm making sure I'm getting the actor's name right, so that's what I'm doing. As for the Vinegar Syndrome Blu-ray, 4Ks that I bought from eBay, I believe I paid about $72.14 for those three, and it's not bad. Normally they go for a little higher. So yeah, and since I just saw that title on Instagram, I figured I'd go ahead and go to these movies. And this is I got all five of the Death Wish movies, and we're gonna start with the first one. This one I bought from Kino Lorber. This is the 4K of the first Death Wish. Doesn't seem like there's a whole lot on there. There is an interview with the actor John Hirschfeld. There's a trailer. That's about it. So not quite a whole lot of extras, but it's not completely bare bones. And for the prices I bought, most of these were $9.99. The 4Ks were $17.99. So these were definitely the cheapest that I was going to get them. That's why it was considered a March Madness sale. I think they were probably more than 50% off. So I got a hell of a deal. That's why I bought a lot of them, since they were super cheap. And there was actually two that I bought that were $8.49 actually. So yeah, I believe the Cherry Blu-ray that I bought, however, Cherry 2000, I think that one was $10.99, but still, that was probably the best price I was going to get on it. So there you go. This one I bought from eBay, bought it separately, bought it from a private seller, and that's the second Death Wish on 4K from Vinegar Syndrome as well. This was probably the cheapest price I can get it at, because Amazon wanted like $44 plus for it, and with tax you're probably looking at least $46, $47. This was just barely around $40 that I paid for. And shockingly, this got here, I bought this I think on Saturday, and it got here on Tuesday, so that was rather quick for this to ship out. So even complimented the seller on eBay, saying that that super fast shipping. Definitely would buy again, especially since the feedback on that seller wasn't exactly the best. It wasn't even 100%. So, but yeah, next up is of course Death Wish 3, and Death Wish 2 had a lot of extras on here, surprisingly enough. And it has two different versions of the film as well too. Both the uncut. I thought that this had the theatrical cut, but I don't know. Both uncut and alternate TV version restored in 2K. So, I guess it has just the uncut and then the alternate TV cut. Interesting enough. I thought this had the R-rated cut, but okay. I just wanted to clarify on this, so yeah. And then going back to Death Wish 3, this one I bought from eBay as well. And this was the cheapest I can get this, sadly, because I just paid under $40. With tax, this was like $38. And this was from Scorpion. So if you want to try to get this one as cheap as it can, I would hurry up and go ahead with it. It has a brand new 2K scan. Not a whole lot of extras. It does have the audio commentary, but it does have the interview with the actor Kirk Taylor, who plays the Giggler in this movie, for those who have seen Death Wish 3. So there you go. I don't know if there's ever going to be a new remastering or a new, a good amount, new features on there, new, behind the scenes stuff. I don't know. I know that, Charles Bronson obviously is dead. So is Ed Lauder. I don't know if Deborah Raffin. I don't know if she's alive. Too bad they couldn't get an interview unless if she died. If she did, well, rest in peace to all of them. I know that what's his face. I could have swore. I think didn't Gabe O'Harley die, or am I thinking of someone else? I don't know. So yeah, maybe he's still. I don't know. I have to go back and look that up. Next up, Death Wish 4, The Crackdown. This one's from Kino Lorber, along with that 28 movie pile that I bought them from. So yeah, not a whole lot of extras on here either. Just, the commentary by film historian Paul Talbot, the author of Bronson's Loose. So, but interesting enough, this one has a slip cover. Next up, Death Wish 5, which does not have a slip cover. This one has pretty much the same extras as the previous one, just the audio commentary and the trailer, and that's pretty much it. So, the fifth and final Death Wish film, glad to have it on physical media. And hopefully the picture quality is definitely worth it. I mean, these were $9.99, so it's not bad. And I guess since I'm at it, I am going to show this one movie off, and that's In and Out with Kevin Kline. Figured I'd go ahead and get it because I remember not minding the film. Kevin Kline does a good job in the role. You have Tom Selleck, Joan Cusack, Matt Dillon. Pretty solid cast in this movie here. It's not a true 4K, but it's a 4K scan, so I'll take that. And you got an audio commentary, with director Frank Oz and the screenwriter. Then you have an interview with the composer, and you have some vintage interview clips as well. So you have a fair amount of features on this Blu-ray here. I don't know what it was like on the previous Blu-ray for this film, so I can't really say much. I mean, okay, that's cool. Has some incredible prices. I can't remember if there's. I don't think there's a FIE in my mall anymore. I assume it's only online only. So yeah. Okay, I don't know why it's showing that, but okay. All right. What next? Okay, maybe I should go to this one. This is technically a Kino Lorber Blu-ray, but I didn't buy it from them. This is No Way Out, because sadly the price they still wanted like 16 and change for it. I actually got this on Amazon. This was actually a little cheaper with tax. It was $15.93, still cheaper than what Kino Lorber was offering. So there's just a commentary on commentary from the director, filmmaker, film stories. I believe there's an interview with the director, and that's pretty much it. So not a whole lot of stuff on here, but nevertheless, figured I'd get it for the collection. And of course, Gene Hackman, may he rest in peace. I figured I'd get it for him. I did buy another movie of his that I have somewhere in here. Actually, I'll go ahead and get it from the bottom. That's the next film he did after that, and that's Mississippi Burning. It also has Willem Dafoe. What's her name? I think Frances McDormand's on there. You have Arlie Ermy, and then Brad Dourif is also in this movie too. From what I've heard, this is a pretty good film. That touches upon Ku Klux Klan, the Ku Klux Klan, I believe. And I haven't even seen this, but it should be a good film, no doubt. Very well acted. Audio commentary by the director and a trailer satellite. That's all you get on here. But at least it's a 4K scan, so yeah. Found a steelbook. Cool, that's nice. $5, huh? I assume it was brand new. Yeah, you'd definitely be surprised what you can find at Goodwill these days. So yeah, I guess it shouldn't be. I mean, one time I found a Blu-ray of was it Away We Go or something. It had John Krasinski in it, and that was from 2009. I bought that for $3. That was like that movie came out in 2009. So yeah. Okay. Next up, I have the 1994 film Nobody's Fool with Paul Newman. You got a couple of interviews with, I think, it says Catherine Dent and Richard Russo. So I assume these were people that were in the movie. And you have an audio commentary from the filmmaker. So that's pretty much it. Not a whole lot, but it's another 4K scan, so I figured I'd add it to my collection. It's Paul Newman. What can I say? Very good very good actor. Cool Hand Luke, Color of Money, and amongst many other things. So there you go. And I managed to get several William Friedkin films. I figured I'd go ahead. Let me find the other one that I got. So let me find that. There we go. Let me make sure I get all of his films. Okay, I believe I have. You know what? I'll save that for now. I'll go ahead and do it now. I'll do the Blu-rays first. Or yeah, it doesn't matter. Okay, I'm gonna start. It's the next film I have. Well, the next Blu-ray I'm going to show off in the William Friedkin collection that I got is Rules of Engagement. Tommy Lee Jones, Samuel Jackson. Never actually saw this, but I've heard some good things about this. It's a 4K scan as well. Audio commentary with the director, William Friedkin. May he rest in peace. He died, I believe, like almost a couple years ago, I think now. Then you have look inside interviews with the cast and crew. I don't know if that's something new or if that's like archival stuff. They have a behind-the-scenes featurette and the trailer and pretty much it. So, fair amount of features on here. Not too bad. So, not to mention this movie's, 25 years old right now? So, yeah. Crazy how time flies. Next up, I've actually seen some of it, not fully, but definitely kind of a interesting kind of psychological horror film, and that's Bug, which has Ashley Judd, Michael Shannon, and Harry Connick Jr. And it's also a 4K scan as well. We got a commentary with the director himself, William Friedkin, and you have a discussion with him. You have a featurette, a trailer, pretty much it. So fair amount of features. But I remember, not a bad film. It's not a film that I watch every day, but I figured I had it to my collection since it was cheap. Next up, I've heard of this film but never saw it, and it's got the 4K of The Hunted, which has Tommy Lee Jones and Benicio del Toro. And this is an actual 4K that I got. You have a commentary with, of course, Friedkin as well. You got I believe it's probably the previous featurettes that was on the previous DVD. I think from what I've read or saw, I don't think any of these features were on the Blu-ray. If they were, I don't really know. I really don't know if they were truly on there, or if that was something. I don't know. Anyways, you have deleted scenes and a trailer, and that's pretty much what you have on here. Fair amount of features, probably mostly stuff from what was on the previous DVD. Because I could have swore I looked it up, online to see if what the difference was, but because you can't really get this on a regular, you can only get this like it is right here. That's a 4K and a Blu-ray. You can't get a separate Blu-ray like with Cherry 2000, for example. So yeah, but I'm curious if this film's any good. I've heard it was good, so I figure I might check it out at some point in my massive movie collection that I have. All right. Okay, I'm just gonna. And then the other 4K that I got, I figured I'd go ahead and get it. That's To Live and Die in LA. I don't know if I have this movie or if I bought a previous Blu-ray of this film as well. But I've heard the 4K of this film looked pretty damn good, so I figured I'd go ahead and get it. You got interviews. I don't know if they're anything new or if they were ported over from the Screen Factory Blu-ray. I'm not sure on that. That might be a possible deal. Sometimes they'll port over previous, bonus features. So yeah. And you got, deleted scene and an alternate ending. You got a good amount of features, but they're probably from the previous bonus material. So there you go. Okay. Almost done with those. And then the next few, I've heard of this film, but I never got around to it, and that's the Reindeer Games with Ben Affleck and what's his face? Gary Sinise, I can't believe it. And Charlize Theron, and I think this has a director's cut. I don't think it has the theatrical cuts. Maybe okay. You know what? I take it back. I think this has both cuts on here, but I believe the director's cut's on Blu-ray. I don't know if the 4K is. Yeah, the 4K looks like the 4K is the theatrical cut. So yeah, there you go. And you got an audio commentary by the director on both cuts, behind the scenes featurette and trailer. Not a whole lot, but not bare bones either. So I'll take it. I assume it's probably the Screen Factory one. I think that's. Was there another edition? I don't remember. I think at the time, I think Screen Factory had the best. Maybe you can clarify. Sorry. Okay, next up, I have a few more 4Ks from Kino Lorber that I'm showing off. I've heard of this film, and I was trying to debate whether or not I wanted to get this on 4K, but the Blu-ray from Kino Lorber only had a. Okay, cool. The Blu-ray of Kino Lorber only had a 2K scan. This one has a 4K, but I was reading stuff about that 4K claiming that it wasn't really much better, but I've heard some other people were saying that it was actually pretty good. So I've heard back and forth on this, and that's Play Misty for Me, starring Clint Eastwood, and he also directed the film too. So you got an audio commentary with the producer, novelist. I believe the features are pretty much on the Blu-ray, so that's what it is. And I haven't really fully watched the film, but the person that plays the the obsessive, obsessive character, Jessica Walter. Yeah, she she really played crazy pretty good. So you got to give her that. But yeah, I'm definitely interested in fully watching this movie. And next up, I know that Shout did the Blu-ray of this, but it just seems like, surprisingly enough, this 4K was cheaper than the Shout Blu-ray, and that's the April Fool's Day. And this is an actual 4K, and I believe pretty much all the features, I would assume, were ported over from Screen Factory, so I think that's what it is. So, yeah, I haven't seen it, but I kind of know how it ends, so yeah. kind of my fault. I'm watching that, but yeah, I'm definitely curious at how the film begins and pretty much leading up to the ending. So yeah, not to mention it's going to be 40 years old next year. And to live and die in LA, the 4K that I showed is going to be 40 years old pretty soon as well, since it came out in '85. Okay, still have some more. Maybe I'll go over here. Trying to remember which ones were the 849 ones. Okay, I'm going to do the 849 ones. So I'm going to show two Blu-rays that were 849 and 9. Yeah, I know it's not a good movie at all, but I figured why not? It's directed by Sylvester Stallone, and that's the film Staying Alive. John Travolta's in the movie. It's got a 4K scan. This was cheap. I'm sure there are much worse films than that. And yeah, I know it's not quite the classic like Saturday Night Live is, which, by the way, I should definitely get that at some point. But for the Stallone collection, I'm fine with adding, because I probably would rather watch this than some of Stallone's duds that he had. So yeah, and I don't think Travolta did that bad. I mean, not to mention what's her face, Fiona Hughes, who's in fact also interviewed on this, looked pretty good. Kind of sucker for brunettes, if you know what I mean. So yeah. You also have what's her face, Cynthia Rhodes, who would go on to be in Runaway. She's also in the movie too. So yeah, this is Staying Alive, a sequel to Saturday Night Fever. And I have actually seen this movie too, believe it or not. I remember catching this on TV, and that's Suspect Zero. And it's a 4K scan as well. You have a commentary by the director. I would assume the previous features that we had on here were ported over from the previous DVD. Not sure if the Blu-ray that came out later had these features. I can't remember for sure. So, anyways, it's not completely bare bones. You actually have an alternate ending as well. So, there you go. And both Aaron Eckhart and Ben Kingsley, I think, do pretty solid in this movie as well. So, next up is a couple more 4Ks. And this one is going to be... I've heard also mixed things about the 4K of this film, but I figured, you know what? I'm just going to go for it. I don't care. It's got features, and that's the 1976 film Marathon Man with Dustin Hoffman. You have an audio commentary. You have some of the behind the scenes featurettes, stuff like that. Rehearsal footage and a trailer. That's pretty much what's on here. Not completely bare bones, but the usual. And I like Dustin Hoffman as an actor, so I gotta, I've heard some pretty good things about this film as well, too. You also have Roy Schneider from Jaws. He's in the movie as well. So, yeah, glad to have this in my collection. And next up, I definitely have heard of this film, but I've never seen it. I haven't even seen the remake that came out in 2009. That's the Taken of Pelham 123. I believe this has Walter Matthau, Robert Shaw from Jaws, Martin Balsam, who's in Death Wish 3, by the way, and Hector Elizondo. I'm definitely familiar with that actor. And you got a good amount of features. I assume they were probably ported over from the previous bonus material, on the previous DVD or Blu-ray, whichever this was on. And I've heard pretty good things about the 4K. And yeah, definitely want to see what this classic is like. Okay, I'm gonna put all these. These are the rest of the movies that I got. So let's get on with it. I have this underrated little flick that director David Twohy did, and that's Below. And I I remember liking this film because it was definitely interesting to see a thriller taking place on a submarine during World War II. Um, and David Twohy, came off a pretty good success of Pitch Black. Sadly, this film didn't get a whole lot of promotion. I have no idea why. This is the Wingsteins we're talking about here, so they probably didn't have much faith in it, or they didn't give a shit either way. So there you go. But anyways, this has a 4K scan. I believe pretty much all the bonus material that was on the DVD and the Blu-ray was ported over. Audio commentary with the director, and believe it or not, Zach Galifianakis was actually in this movie. And he's also on the commentary along with Matt Davis, Bruce Greenwood. Yeah, I keep saying word. Bruce Greenwood, and Hope McCloney. Well, actually, Nick Chumlin's on there too. So there's also a featurette, and you got deleted scenes. So yeah, there you go. And then, so I'm surprised I never got this, but it's Johnny Depp, and I've heard of John Waters, but I don't have any of his films, and if I do, I don't have a whole lot. That's the movie Crybaby, and this actually has both cuts, because apparently we have a theatrical and a director's cut. It looks like, I believe both. Yeah, I think both are 4K scans, but I think the additional missing parts are in standard definition. It looks like that's what I'm gathering here. So yeah, and you have a commentary. You have interviews with the actress and actress. I don't think Johnny Depp is interviewed, sadly, but I know that most of the actresses, like Amy Locane, I know she was on Melrose Place for a brief amount of time. Tracy Lords is also interviewed. Apparently, I guess Iggy Pop was in this movie. I didn't know that. And of course, Ricky Lake. She would go on to have her own talk show at one point. Okay, you have a couple of actors that are interviewed, but I'm not familiar with them. And 5 deleted scenes in a trailer. So it looks like this has a damn good amount of features, but I'm curious as to see if it's any good. So yeah. Next up, this is actually a 4K. And surprisingly enough, I don't have this movie, but I figured, what? About the time I get it, it's got a classic actor in there, and that's the movie Sea of Love with Al Pacino, Ellen Barkin, and John Goodman. And right off the bat, it's a damn good movie. It's an actual 4K. You got an audio commentary with the director. You have a featurette, probably ported over from the previous material. Then you have deleted scenes and 2 trailers, so not completely bare bones, but fair amount of features on here as well too. But this is a good film too, and can't go wrong with Al Pacino and Ellen Barkin. So there you go. And next up, I haven't seen this, but I figured since it's Nicolas Cage, I'm not going to get this film any cheaper than it is. Might as well get it, and that's Snake Eyes. And this has got a 4K scan. It does have a commentary, but it just has a trailer and kind of disappointing on features. So, but compared to the other releases, I don't think it had anything on there. If it did, it just probably had a trailer and that's it. So you get one thing added. So in terms of feature wise, it's a bit disappointing, but hopefully the film is just as good. So. I'm going to go ahead and do this one. Next up, I have heard of this. I have heard of the original version, but I never watched it. But I don't think I ever had this. And if I did, I don't know if I have. It seems like I'd have to go back. But I figured I'd go ahead and get this. And this is the original Invasion of the Body Snatchers from 1956. And this has a 4K scan as well, available for the best elements. You got an audio commentary, actually with one of the leading stars, Kevin McCarthy. And you also have, an audio commentary with film historians as well. And I believe you have some, featurettes, documentaries, a trailer. That's pretty much it. So, definitely a good amount of features, but I definitely have to give this a watch at some point because next year it's probably going to be what? This came out in 1956. So It's going to be 70 years old, I think. Yeah, it's going to be 70 years old. And next up, I have seen this film. I didn't mind it. And that's the 1977 film, Orca, the Killer Whale. I know that Scream Factory released this, but I believe since, this was $9.99, this was, cheaper than the Scream Factory Blu-ray, I figured I might as well get it. It's a 4K scan. You got an audio commentary, pretty much. Those are your features in the trailer. That's it. So I guess it's pretty similar to what was on the previous Scream Factory Shout Blu-ray. So there you go. But just wanted to add it to my collection, and now I have it. So. And I'll just do this in order. Next up, I have seen most of this movie, but it's definitely a good classic, cop drama. That's Eternal Affairs with Richard Gere and Andy Garcia. It's got a 4K scan, but it has a pretty good amount of features on this Blu-ray. And that's, there's the audio commentary. You have an interview with the director, Mike Figgis, I should say. You have an interview with the screenwriter, One Bad Cop, interview with the composer. But from what I understood, this has a lot of extended and deleted scenes as well as an alternate ending. And I think it was like over 25 minutes, maybe more. I have to kind of look that up. But it has a lot of deleted footage, which I never thought that was possible. But I wouldn't know anything about it. So, but this is jam-packed with features. I figured I might as well get it. $9.99 for the price. I can't complain about that. Orca is a bit underrated, I think. Okay, I haven't seen it in a while, but I remember seeing it like years ago. So, yeah, it's Eternal Affairs. Damn good movie. And next up, this might have been another $10.99 one. Let me see if I can look it up again. I'm going to look at Need. Okay. All right, let me find it. Come on, where are you at? Okay. Where's Jerry? Okay, I was actually wrong on Cherry 2000. I was actually wrong on the price on that. The Cherry 2000 Blu-ray was actually $12.99. This Blu-ray here, Needful Things, was $10.99. So wanted to clarify on that. So apologies on that. But anyways, you got a 4K scan of the film. You also have a 191 television cut of the film. I don't know if it doesn't say if it's okay. It's an HD up-res of the 191 minute cut. So yeah, and you have like an interview with the screenwriter and a trailer. That's pretty much it. But it's not completely bare bones, and plus you get a different cut of the movie too. So can't complain about that. So, anyways, glad to have it. Next up, I know the director, lately, I don't know if anyone's heard of him. This I haven't fully watched this, but the director, it's kind of very disappointed in how he kind of turned out to the person he turned out to be. But you can't change people, and that's The Usual Suspects. From what I understood, it's a very well acted movie, and I definitely got to give it a shot. So, you have an audio commentary with the director, Singer, interview with the cinematographer, interview with the composer, John Alleman. You got 5 featurettes, deleted scenes. I assume this was all poured over from the previous Blu-ray, or DVD. I know there was a special edition DVD. I don't know if I ever got that. But anyways, got a good cast. You might as well just damn, I can't believe I didn't see that. Crybaby. Okay, that's cool. Streets of Fire. I know Scream Factory did that, I think. I can't remember if I got that. But despite what the director, Singer, did, I'm sure this film is definitely a classic. So, but plus it was cheap too. So, yeah. Then finally, this is a 4K, and I don't think you can get this is another example that you can only get the 4K in order to get the Blu-ray. and this is the 1992 flick Bad Lieutenant. I know that Abel Ferrara is the one that directed the movie. It's funny because not too long ago I watched a couple of movies, Drill a Killer and Love in a 45. Yeah, but I heard The Usual Suspects is a very well acted movie, so I got to give it that. I'll say this: at least Steiner is not Victor Salva. That's the one thing I refuse to own any of Salva's movies for sure. So yeah, but I heard some good things about this film. It's got a brand new 4K scan. The original camera negative. I think this one is the one that actually has a 5.1 track on there. I don't think the previous Blu-ray of Bad Lieutenant had that. And if it did, I could be wrong, but yeah. It's funny. I talk about Abel Ferrara and it mentioned Drill a Killer and Miss 45. Okay, yeah, Miss 45. And King of New York. I haven't seen that, but yeah. I'm assuming it has pretty much all the same features as the previous release had, so there you go. And okay, I understand that it's late, and I didn't mean to bore y'all for those that were watching, but there was only like a few people that came in here. But yeah, that's pretty much my physical collection that I bought. I should probably start eating this because this is starting to melt. Damn. I go from showing off movies to having DQ. This damn thing is too liquidy. I appreciate that, Tommy. I'm going to put this back in the freezer. But yeah, that's about it as far as movies. But as far as total, for all these movies, I'm thinking I paid like over $500 for all this. Majority of it came from Kino Lorber. I know the price on that. I paid about $352.72 for 28 of those movies, which isn't bad because, like I said, most of those movies were under $10, except for the 4Ks. Those were going to be above that for sure. And then there was 2 Blu-rays like the Needful Things and the Cherry 2000 that were above $10 pretty much. So, yeah. But it's nice to get one franchise completed because I don't know. It's always good when you hold off. You hope that a better edition of that film or franchise comes out on physical media. So, especially with Death Wish 2, I mean, that's probably the most features I've ever seen on a film like that for a film that was probably critically slaughtered and panned. So yeah. But yeah. So, and you briefly got to see me eat some DQ, but sadly that just turned into liquid. But it is what it is. But yep. I just didn't want to film this and then have to edit and it take forever because the thing was when I was uploading that License to Kill score highlight suite. That took so long to upload. It took like probably over 2 hours just to upload the damn thing. And the only thing really that probably is high quality was maybe the music, but the pictures weren't exactly high quality. I didn't have any footage. It all adds up quickly. Just yeah. Plus, like I said, they were a majority of those films, pretty much all those movies, were like what 50 more than 50% off. You can't say no to a good deal like that. And I'm not sure, and you never know. Those movies can go out of print or they can be on back order. You never know. So I can't complain. You know. Excuse me. But yeah. For those that were there, thank you for watching. I hope you really enjoyed this lovely little physical media show off that I did, and who knows, it won't be long before I do another one, if that's even possible. But I'm trying to do better in terms of finances, because I'm debating. Well, I might be leaning towards doing like a money market account, so I might be doing something like that, and or do another CD. Who knows? I'm just working on my financial future for sure. So, anywho, like I said, since it doesn't look like a whole lot of other people are gonna, oops, sorry, didn't mean to do that. So it looks like a whole lot of other people are not, are not going to come in. It's technically it's a school night, so yeah. And yeah, I can understand why people are not showing up. So, anywho, I think honestly that's probably going to do it for me. I should probably, get ready and call it a night. And guess I'll see you all in the next live stream or next vlog, whichever that will be. And y'all take care and have a good night. Bye-bye.